Kelly here, and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Spellbinders. I am using the Blooming Butterflies 3D emboss and cut folder. I pulled out the tulips as well, but I didn't end up using them. And then I pulled out a bunch of different sentiments, and I actually ended up using sentiments. All of them came from the Sending Sunshine sentiments from Spellbinders. So I saw these on their website, and I was very, very intrigued by this. So it's a 3D embossing folder that also cuts at the same time. So it comes together in the package. Now, normally Spellbinders has like a sheet, it's this sheet that you see on, it's a little thicker than vellum, but it's kind of like got that frosted look. And normally it has like the outlines on it. This one didn't, so I just used a fine liner to trace it around so I know how to put them back. And then I kind of messed around with it to see how it worked. So you want to lay it with the front of it down, like where it says Spellbinders, and then you fit in the dies into all of the areas. They have recessed areas with the cut side up. Then this is a half sheet of a cardstock. I just used regular Nina, and I cut it to, what is that? Hold on. You guys know my math be crazy. It's 5.5 by 8.5, 5.5 by 8.5. And then the sandwich that you want for this, I have a Platinum 6. So you just want the A platform. I also have the universal plate system, I should say that. The A platform, then your embossing folder with the paper already in it, and your die cuts for this one, and then the adapter plate on top. Then you just run this through your Platinum 6. And I typically run my regular die cuts, like I run them through once and then I run them back throughout the other side. And I treated this the same way. And I was so shocked because I was like, how is it going to die cut? Isn't it going to cut this folder? Like, how am I going to, how is this going to last? But it's so good. It's so good. Like, it cuts them super close. You still do have a little bit of an outline, but not like too terribly much. And now we have all of these different elements that we can play with. So I did speed up the coloring portion a little bit because it's a longer video. We're making 4 cards, and we're making 4 cards only with these, like the 2 items I talked about. So all of the focal points will be the 3D emboss and cut folder. And then all of the sentiments come from this other. There are no sentiments in the emboss and cut folder. But to be able to come up with like 4 very distinctly different cards from one item, I think is like really getting in a lot of bang for our buck. So I chose just a rainbow of distress inks for this one in particular. This is one of my favorite ways to color 3D embossing, 3D embossed images, is I flipped it over so that we're coloring in the recessed areas, the debossed areas, instead of the embossed areas. And this will give us an opportunity to do kind of a cool, dramatic Brayer, technique, which I have done before. But so I didn't really pay too much attention to like putting the colors down. I did for the butterflies a little bit, like paid attention to what would blend nicely together. But as far as the floral, like I did go over it twice because I really like my colors, saturated. And then for this next one, I brought in a lighter pink. This is Kitsch Flamingo. And you can do this with whatever inks you have. I just like the way the distress inks blend. And this is where I have put a good portion of my investment for my craft room. So I want to make sure that I'm using them. So I went in with the lighter ink and then went in with the picked raspberry, which is a little bit darker. I did switch up my brushes just a little bit. I'm using more of a detailed blending brush so that I could get most of like the pink onto the flower. And then I added a little bit of purple. And then I'll do the same thing for the leaves. Now, I'm not going to tell you there's no cross-contamination because there is, but that's why I picked the colors that I did. I put the purple on the outside edge because I knew it would blend really nicely with the teal. And then the teal kind of creates a barrier in between the flower and the mowed lawn. So just making sure that I know that I have colors that are going to blend nicely together. And then I did the leaves the same way. For the butterflies, I flipped them back over. So we're doing the top, just like we did with the flower. The flower is on the top of the embossed area. And then I did a yellow, orange to pink butterfly. And that's going to be another card. This one is really very monochromatic. I did all of the butterflies like teal and then added some shading with the, I used peacock feathers and then Uncharted Mariner. And I love the way that that card came out because it is very dramatic with the butterflies. And I think you could do this with any color combination because they're such bright colors. They just pop off that background and I love it. I love it so much. So for those, you'll notice I did not cut them out yet. I ink blended them before they were die cut pieces. And that's because I wanted to see how easy it would be to put the embossed ones back in and then die cut them after the fact. So here, this technique probably is a little bit more intermediate, but I do think it's one that is worth practicing, even if you're at a beginner level, with adding the shading to your die cuts with the alcohol markers or colored pencils or like whatever your color medium is, because this gives us such great dimension, but it's not only dimension that you can see because of the coloring, but it's dimension that you can feel because we've 3D embossed it. I really, really like this. And this one can be a little bit of a challenge because when you put the marker down, it doesn't care, like the marker doesn't care that your image is embossed. It just absorbs into the fibers of the paper wherever you have put the ink. So that's why this is one you kind of have to play with just a little bit. But I do have kind of a little cheat that I used at the end to clean everything up and make it look really tidy. And I think that that makes it worth trying even if you are a beginner, because that little trick might save you from having to be too specific about how it looks. So this shading is no different than I would do if I was coloring a stamped image. We want to add the darkest shading where the petals will meet each other, where the leaves meet the petals, where one petal's on top of another. So definitely the center is going to be a little bit more, dark, whereas the side of this, where you can see the whole side of that petal, those are going to be much, much lighter. So then here is the flower that is done and colored, and you can see how much dimension we're getting. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a combination of green, which is this G29, but then the next two colors are going to be blue greens to really kind of play up that teal. And I like the way that that color combination came out. So here I'm coloring not in the like the die border, I'm coloring right on top of the leaves. And again, I am doing this the same way I would do a stamped image. So where it is tucked up underneath the flower is I'm adding more shading. And then once I put my darkest color down, then I will go over that with my mid-tone and extend it out. And then for the lightest color, I will go over my mid-tone and then extend that out to the edges. So we're going to color the leaves that way and the butterfly. As far as life goes, the weather has been just so much more than I could ever hope for. It has been so nice. I've been able to go walking pretty much every day. Now today I'm probably not going to get to go walking because we have, I can't even believe we're old enough to be seeing an orthodontist, but we are indeed taking Peanut to the orthodontist to see what our situation is. Now, me and his dad both had braces, so we pretty much always knew that, that was something that he was probably going to need. And now he's finally old enough, all his adult teeth are in, so we're in middle school. That's when I got my braces as well. So hopefully he has a better time of it than I did. Me and my sister both have my mom's teeth. and they pulled 4 of her teeth because she had too many teeth for the size of her mouth. And with me, they didn't pull mine. They gave me a palate expander, which basically looks like a medieval torture device, and it has a key in the center of it. It fits into the roof of your mouth. So strike 1 on the palate expander. You talk with a lisp until you get used to having it into your mouth. Strike 2 on the palate expander is it is very painful because you put a key into that center portion and then you crank it every night, and it actually spreads your top palate expander. See what I'm saying? And strike 3 against the palate expander, it gives you an enormous gap because it's spreading open the top of your jaw. So I had a gap in my front teeth in middle school. Like, talk about some hard years, right? So I am not pro palate expander. under most circumstances. We'll see what he says. Now, he does have his dad's teeth. He doesn't have mine, so maybe that's something that he won't need. Side note, back to the card. So here for the body of the butterfly, I did just fill it in with the darkest orange, and I was satisfied with that. For these other ones that were coloring in the recessed areas, I just went in with a BG49 because that matched the teal I was using, and I added a little bit of shading kind of out from the body into the wings, and that's really all I did with this one for coloring. So anyway, my sister had her teeth pulled. I had a palate expander. They gave her, like when she was done, they gave her a permanent retainer. They did not give me a permanent retainer. Yes, we did go to the same orthodontist. No, I don't know what was happening there. So here, I'm going to fit all my dies back in, because I wanted to see, like I said before, if I could successfully cut these out if I didn't do it at the same time. And so what I found was I did kind of have to shimmy the paper around until I felt it fit. And then once I felt it fit, I just retaped that bottom so that the paper wouldn't shift around. And I had no issue then with that same sandwich cutting these out. I didn't have any problems. All of the pieces came out as they were supposed to. So yes, you can die cut and emboss at the same time, or you can emboss and then die cut if that suits your needs better. So here's the little trick I was talking about. I'm going to take a white gel pen, and I'm actually just going to fit the tip of the pen into that recessed border edge, and I'm going to trace it. Now, you do have to be slow because your pen can slip, but then I'm just going to fill in those borders white. Isn't that so funny? Like when I normally do die cuts, I color in the border so that you can't see it, but in this one, I'm coloring them in white. But that's because this card is going, or these images are going to go on a white background, which you will see here just a little bit. It's not stark white. I'm not going to pretend like it is. It's not perfect, but it definitely gives the coloring a more finished look. I did want to try a white acrylic marker, because those are more opaque. But the one that I had was a little bit dry. So I think I'm going to raid my son's Posca pens and see if that one would work as well. Because I would be interested to see if maybe that would be another way. You probably have to use a fine tip. But anyway, that's what I did here, and then you'll see how I blend them into each other when we put the whole card together. You could, of course, wait to do this portion of it if you would prefer, so you know where your colors are going to land, but I was just kind of experimenting through the whole thing. I'm happy with the way that it looks on white, and I'm just going to leave it as is for now. So then we're going to move on to this Brayer. You can see that I was working on some other ones. Basically, this is a pigment ink. In my case, it's Altenews Obsidian pigment ink, and I've picked it up with a Tim Holtz Brayer. I've just loaded up the Brayer, and now these are the images that we first colored that were we colored the recessed areas. So I'm just going over top of it so that the black is hitting the high points. Now, you do have to be careful because if you go over it in too many directions, you may end up with more black ink than you want. Like that second butterfly got a little bit dark. I'm okay with it, but this is the technique that's really fun, dramatic. You see all that rainbow against that black, and it is poppin', it's super drama, and I love it. I love that technique. I have, like I said, I have a another video on that. I'll try to link it below. If you want the black drama, but you don't want to have to worry about all of the mess of the brayer, you can use a black marker. So these butterflies are also recessed. So I'm just going through and using my marker to hit the high edges, and then also with the body, the high edges on the body. I did not take it into the body of the butterfly, like into each wing segment. I just did its outline and the outline of its body. I don't think that there is a good way to bring the marker into like the actual wings and not have it absorb. Now you're going to see I have a special guest for my next 3 butterflies, because I had originally done them and then I kind of added some things to it and I didn't really like it. So I just used the ones I had cut extra. So I just used that. Well, while I was doing this, my little jelly bean came home and she was like, I want to sit with you. So this is me giving her a little lesson in ink blending. And then I would ask her, like, okay, so we use pink. Can you find orange? And then she would find the color. And like I kept this because I'm a big baby. I'm so sentimental. Like I kept the footage of this because you could hear our whole little conversation. Which I will cherish forever. But this video is already too long because you guys know I like to do the little special guest things at the end. The video is already too long to include that, but you can see her sweet little hands helping with the ink blending. Eventually she got disenchanted with it. So I was ink blending while she was playing with other things on the side of my desk while she was sitting next to me. But that's okay. She's just little and her attention span is just little, so that's fine. Here, these are the embossed image, so we're adding color to the high parts, and actually this one is like we're going to use them this way. We're not going to blend in the edges. I didn't feel like it was necessary for the butterfly, but you could use that same white gel pen trick if you were so inclined. So anyway, yeah, the orthodontist will be very interesting. I thought that my ex-husband had headgear, and I made mention of it to Peanut, but he said that his dad did not have headgear. I thought he did, but maybe that's my misremembering. I guess he would know what he did or did not have, huh? So I will be very interested to see what they say we need to do. And honestly, how poor we're going to be, because it's it was expensive when I was a kid, so I'm sure the price hasn't come down, but what we do for our children. So we have that today, and then I'm hoping this is something that is so different, being a boy mom versus like I grew up with 3 sisters, right? They need to get their hair cut so often. Like what? Their hair grows, so I couldn't get mine to grow an inch in 6 months. Like every time I go to get my hair trimmed, I feel like I start right back at square one, even though it's been 6 months since I had my hair trimmed. But these boys, their hair is growing like nobody's business. It's growing by leaps and bounds in weeks. What is that? And they also have the most beautiful eyelashes, which I also think is highly unfair. But anywho, so here is the butterflies. She also did help me color in their bodies. So I just picked the equivalent of the same color. So like for this one's peacock feathers blended into salty ocean. So I went with a blue-green body. This one, I went with the dark orange body, same as we did before. And then for this yellow, green, teal butterfly, we went with a darker green body. And those will be just the way that they are. Now we're going to get into adding some details into our images. So for these butterflies, they're going to be on a white background. So I am going to add little white dots along their wings as just like an extra little detail. Originally, remember I told you I made other ones that I didn't love? I added some black to the wings and it was too much. It might not have been too much for a different card design, but for the card design I had in mind, the black was definitely too much. The white, just the white dots, was a perfect addition. So yeah, so in addition to taking him to the orthodontist, I am hoping to get his hair cut today. Because look at her just playing with all the stuff on the desk. Like she is a look with her hands, not look with her eyes type child, which I think probably all toddlers are. So for the sentiments, the ones for the white card, I stamped in black on white, and the ones for the black cards, I stamped in a white pigment ink and then put on some white detail embossing powder. So yeah, but it's a beautiful day. So I'm certainly not mad about it today having to be the day that we're doing some running around. That's totally awesome. What I started to say was, like, he is a kid who he has two things that he cares about. Okay. His clothes matching is not one of them, but he cares about his shoes. I mean, literally one of his Christmas gifts was a shoe cleaning kit. And that was from his grandma, and he thought that that was one of the best gifts. And his hair. And he's always been that way. Like, I was taking him to get fancy haircuts, like even when he was a toddler. And not because like I was pushing it, but because he was like, he's particular about his hair, which, hey, we all invest in certain things. And if that's going to be his thing, like, that's cool with me, whatever works for him. So, he has made mention to me, like, Mom, I do need a haircut. So, yeah, that I'll try to get that in today as well. And then tomorrow, if you can even believe it, in Ohio in March, it is supposed to be in the 70s as of right now. See, I just looked it up. As of right now, it's supposed to be a high of 75. I know that I get on Mother Nature and I'm all mad about Old Man Winter, because I'm like, what is even happening? Like, what are you doing? But I'm not going to be mad about this little blurb of 75 on a Friday afternoon. No, ma'am, I am not. So here you can see kind of my game plan and how I laid the cards out. Can we just talk about that white on white? That white embossing on white cardstock is, chef's kiss. I love the way that looks. I love the texture that it gives and the interest that it's adding without us having to do really anything at all. All we did was emboss it and cut it out, and it is looking amazing. I love that background. That might be my favorite card. Even though this one, what we're putting together, has like the full on rainbow flowers, I don't know. I love them all. I'm going to be honest. I do love them all. I was really happy with the way that these ones turned out. And then to add some interest, we are going to pop these up on some foam tape. So this one here is like this full corner piece. And so I'm going to pop this up in the bottom right-hand corner and trim off then any excess. The shears are great for that. And in fact, are they on sale right now? I can't remember, but I do know that they're having a die cutting sale. Spellbinder's having a die cutting sale. And I have a different video that I will be putting up soon, I think, in the next couple of days, I would think. I was part of a little Instagram hot for Justine Dvorak. She came out with this super cute like little farm. I don't know how to explain. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember what the full name of her collection is called. Home Sweet Home? Farm Sweet Farm? I think those are just sentiments. But anyway, I did the Instagram hop and then I turned it into a video. So I will have those as well coming up pretty soon. And but if you want to check out the die cut sale, there's lots of good stuff in there that I have previously used. And then if you watch my channel, that here, well, a lot of people in the industry are talking about it. I don't mean it to sound like I'm the only one with the information, but I do know I mentioned it in a previous video. Hero Arts is now under the Spellbinders umbrella. So they are also, they're having a last call sale, which is a lot of good stuff. They have liquid watercolors in there. They have stencils for like $2, dyes. They have lots and lots of good stuff over at the Hero Arts Last Call sale. And I imagine it's just as Spellbinders is kind of getting into the swing of what they're going to continue to carry. Back to the card. So here, this is that white on white. So the last one, we just did the corner piece down in the corner. This time we're going to do it up in the top left corner. And then that extra floral and leaves, we're going to add to the bottom right. So there's lots of really nice texture in the background, and it's not competing with our butterflies. It's just supporting, and putting this down in the bottom corner and the corner piece, catty corner from each other, is going to create a really nice balance. And then to further extend that balance, we are going to have the butterflies coming across at a diagonal in that same way. And again, I'm going to use my little, they're big. It's not the detail scissors, though they'd probably work. The shears are fantastic, but they are large. So, and then to make sure that the butterflies have, just a little bit more dimension, I am only adding the foam tape kind of right into the middle of their bodies so that their wings stay up. I did the same thing with the previous card. If you want them to be a little bit more secure, stay tuned for the black and teal card, because the way that I did the sentiment, or the foam tape, a little bit different there. Here, I did trim my sentiment into two pieces so that it fit nicer into that little gap. And these are actually part of the window scene release from Tina Smith. And so there's lots of really nice sentiments in here. The one that I went with for that card says, "It's a brand new, beautiful day." This one just has a very supportive, like, "You're in my thoughts." I am going to glue these together and then add my foam tape. So I already have the foam tape underneath the flower holding on those leaves. And then once I'm happy with the placement, like you can see, I'm just laying them there so I can make sure that I get my butterfly placed. I do have liquid glue underneath the butterfly wing. And then for this one, I popped up the sentiment on foam just like I did with all the others, but wherever the wing was down, so like for the first butterfly, I'm going to do the wing down on the left-hand side. Instead of just adding foam tape in the center, I added the foam tape to also the left wing that is down, and that's just going to make it so it's a little bit more secure. So if you're, not hand delivering them and you're putting them in the mail, this should help. And then just make sure you lay them down flat before you put them into the envelope, so that way they're not catching. But then I could still fluff up the one side and give the card lots of dimension. For the accents, I am using a combination of the onyx self-adhesive gems and this crystal mix. So the thing I like about the crystal mix is they have one that's more on the white side, more like opalescent, and that's the one I'm using here. But then they have one that is more iridescent, and that's the one on top. It looks more like an aura kind of style, and that's the one I used on this card. And then I used the onyx for both of my white cards to tie in that black stamped sentiment. I also, because you guys know that I love all of the glittery things and I can't stop myself, I just think glitter adds so much to the finished design. I know not everybody loves them, and I get it. I do. But here I'm using the clear glitter. I'm going right over top of the butterflies. I did this for the butterflies and the flowers, for all of the cards. And then for extra glitter, I went in with my Stardust stickles. Now, the only thing I will tell you with the stickles is, so like here for these ones, I just traced that black outline that I did with the Copic markers. But for the one that has like the rainbow, I made sure when I was laying the glitter down, I was actually following the shape of the flowers, because you still can see how the glitter is laid out, like the line of it. So if you just go in there and you're doing lots of swirlies, you're going to be able to see all of that when it dries. So I just try to make sure that I'm still following, just like I would with coloring, like making sure my strokes are going in the same direction. So that way I know it's super fast, and I get that. So it doesn't look, like I have any idea what I'm doing, but I do. Maybe I do. I don't know. But try to go with the direction. So here you can see how that white border is not blending in. So once that is dry and my whole card was put together, I was able to go in right over top of that white gel pen and add back in like the green and the, this is the, like the pinkish purple color, so that it blended right in. It's not 100% perfect, but it is much better. So here's a quick recap of all 4 cards that we made. Like I said before, I love all of them. I hope it inspires you. They do have other images that are these 3D emboss and cut folders. I picked up another one at the same time. I was super impressed with them, really enjoyed using them. Plus I'm a sucker for a butterfly. So I think probably be picking up some more if, they continue to come out with them. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.